Practically anywhere you go in Britain, you'll find abrasive wheels in action. And whether you work in heavy industry or if you're a one-man band, you'll probably know quite a lot about them. But how much do you know about these? The law now requires you, whether an employer or an employee, to familiarize yourself with these regulations and to put them into practice. And in this film, we're going to tell you how to go about it. Let's start at the beginning, with storage.
The handling and storing of grinding wheels is a most important safety factor. As you can see, those wheels are correctly stored in an upright position and separated where necessary. Those, on the other hand, are very badly stored and could quite easily fall and be damaged. And remember that a grinding wheel crack is not obvious to the naked eye. Now let us take our properly stored wheel into the workshop.
When removing the wheel from the store, check it for any damage.
To ensure that no loose grits adhere to the side of the wheel, they're removed with a brush. Having done that, we proceed to check it for soundness by tapping it sharply and getting a nice ringing sound. With different sized wheels, you'll receive a different sound. Nevertheless, it would be a true sound each time. A wheel of the same size, damaged and cracked, would produce a sound like this. The regulation states that every abrasive wheel should be properly mounted. So now let's see exactly what that means.
Make sure it's the correct wheel for the machine it's going to be used on, and check that the speed on the machine does not exceed the speed marked on the wheel.
This is the arbor on which the wheel is mounted and which goes onto the machine. This is the locking flange. Check the flanges to make sure that no burrs are showing on both sides. You then examine the wheel to make sure that the paper washers on the wheel are free from dirt and wrinkles. And you place this on the arbor, checking to see that it's free but not too loose. Pick up the locking flange and place over the arbor and drop in position. The lock nut is put in position and screwed down. Locked as tightly as can be by hand. And now the wheel is ready to be mounted on the machine.
It's important to remember that before you're allowed to mount a wheel on a grinding machine, you must be properly trained and appointed by your employer. Guarding is very important, and guards should always be properly secured and adjusted. Remember, the guard has a dual function. It protects you by containing the wheel parts in the event of a burst, and it also protects the wheel against inadvertent damage, from shock, for example, as well as preventing an oversized wheel from being fitted. So it's up to you to make sure that the correct guard is in place at all times and is properly maintained. When dressing the wheel, bear in mind that frequent light dressings are generally preferable to occasional severe dressings. Make a note of these important precautions. Dressing tools should be rigidly mounted and positioned at the proper angle and direction, whether on the table or on the guard.
You will note that the diamond is pointed downwards in the direction the wheel is running. To start trimming the wheel, move the diamond to the center of the wheel and start up the wheel. Approach carefully until you touch and switch on the coolant. The reason for the coolant, first of all, to prevent overheating of the diamond, and secondly, to wash away the grits which will be removed by the diamond in the course of the dressing. Continue dressing until you hear that the wheel is cutting through.
An unbalanced wheel will revolve. This needs correction by truing. Frequent truing will keep your wheel concentric on its spindle and thus eliminate the danger of damage to the wheel from excessive vibration. Any inherent variation in the wheel's characteristics can be counteracted by adjustment to the balance weights, which we can see if we look more closely at the wheel. The same principles apply equally to an offhand or pedestal grinder. The wheel must be selected to match the speed of the machine spindle. Apply the ring test we've already shown, and then follow with the correct mounting procedure. That is, the guards fitted into position, the work rest properly adjusted, together with the protective screen. The machine is now ready to run. But before commencing work, obviously, the machine must be started. And every machine should have easily accessible controls. The operator must ensure he is standing in a safe position. The wheel should now be dressed, utilizing the work rest and the purpose-designed dressing tool. With a portable grinder, it's very important that the machine is firmly held. But in place of the screen, eye protection must be worn. We'll go into more detail on this later in the film. When work is completed and the machine has stopped rotating, it should be placed in a safe position so as not to cause a hazard and to ensure that no damage occurs to the wheel.
Of course, you must always remember that it is always essential to wear glasses when grinding for the protection of your eyes against flying grit. There are many types, but this one is simple, light, and like an ordinary pair of spectacles that protects your eyes both from the front and the sides. But if you wear spectacles like me, this type is more suitable. Not only do they protect your eyes, they also protect your spectacles from possible damage. And if you're foolish enough to think that wearing goggles is unnecessary, well then look at this.
No matter how careful the designers and manufacturers are, there's always the risk of an abrasive wheel bursting. In 1972, there were 545 reports of such accidents. So always use the correct guard and always wear your goggles. There are always other precautions you must take too. In fact, you probably do so already. But here's a reminder. You must maintain floors properly and keep them in good condition. Not just free from clutter and any loose material, but also well maintained and level. Employees, be sensible about clothing. Ties, shirt or coat sleeves can easily get caught up in machinery. So watch out for loose clothing and don't use rags or waste near a revolving wheel. These may seem to be minor points, but when they're neglected, they can cause major accidents. Wherever you work, these regulations now apply to you by law. So, to remind you of the main points, we'll show them to you. Correct storage, examination and testing, select the right wheel for the machine and job, correctly mount and balance the wheel, the right guard for the job in hand, frequent light dressings, always use the correct eye protector. Get to know the regulations. These and other guidelines are available for you to read at any time. All are obtainable from Her Majesty's Stationery Office or through booksellers.
Copies of these regulations can be obtained from your safety officer or the head of your department. The time taken to read them, study them, and to understand your responsibilities won't be wasted. How would you feel that if by not studying them you were responsible for an accident to yourself or to someone else, think about it.